You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Eat me! I'm a turkey!
And now it's time for another edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam with your hosts, the Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice. This is the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, and welcome again, one and all, to a very special post-Thanksgiving edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam, the show made up of Seahawk fans from around the world, talking about your Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Over the next few moments we share together, we hope that you are entertained, enthralled, and enlightened as we discuss the last two wins for your Super Bowl defending Seattle Seahawks against the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers. So sit back, relax, grab a desired beverage or scent of your choice, and remember, we have a lot to be thankful for. That is the usual with every show. We are not alone. Of course, we're joined, like we are every episode, by the 12th Man Fan Jam Posse, a ragtag group of diehard Seahawk fans from around the world. Sadly to report at the beginning that our friend Matt from merry old England will not be with us, but he is here in spirit, and he is here listening, sir. Well, hi, Matt. All right,
Matt.
All right, here we go. First, from the state of Washington, our very own news hound. His 12th Man editorials can be found on the SeahawksSal.com website. He's very thankful for a clean litter box. You know him as Shadowhawk. We know him as Will. Hi, Will.
Hi, Dennis. I'm thankful for 2 Seahawk wins in less than a week, too. I could get used to this.
Oh, I think I could. I think we all could. Very, very, very thankful for that. Also from Washington, our tailgater extraordinaire. He's thankful for leftover turkey sandwiches. He is Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Hey guys, I love leftover turkey sandwiches too. You nailed that one.
I figured I did. And also from the state of California, just up the road from 49er headquarters, our own man behind enemy lines. He's thankful for Seahawk victories over the 49ers. You know him as Zord76. We know him as Statsman Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hey, everybody. This is Mark. And enemy lines, behind enemy lines never felt so good. Black Friday was used by 49er fans as an opportunity to clear out torches and pitchforks and to show up at Jim Harbaugh's house.
We got to love that. Of course, like I mentioned, Matt is on holiday this week, but we will try to press on as well. The intros have been made. Before we start, I know everybody's in a good mood. I want to say something real quick. I learned something today, and I won't get too much into it because we'll talk about it during the show, but I learned a new phrase. We had molly-whopping, which was one of our favorite phrases here, and we found out what molly-whopping was because of the news, but I found out what the phrase "Bye Felicia" means. How many of you know "Bye Felicia"?
I don't know.
I do now.
But,
Bye Felicia. Bye Felicia is a phrase that the Seahawks happen to have used on a special message on the plane on the way out of San Francisco. They all said 1, 2, 3, "Bye Felicia." And I didn't know what that meant. So I looked it up on our friend real quick, the Urban Dictionary, and "Bye Felicia" apparently means when someone says they're leaving and you can really give 2 craps less who they are. Their name then becomes Felicia, a random bitch no one has sad to see go. Their real name becomes irrelevant because nobody cares what it really is. Instead, they're now Felicia. Example, "Hey guys, I'm going to go. Bye Felicia." Who's Felicia? Exactly, bitch. Bye-bye. That's the phrase I learned this week.
Wow.
They entertain and inform us.
They entertain and inform us. So, "Bye Felicia" is something I'm going to try to use in my everyday life when possible. But if you're not Felicia, don't leave us. If you've listened before, thank you for joining us. For those who are listening for the first time, don't worry. We promise we'll be gentle, but be careful. We are quite thankful right now, so we're in a very thankful mood. So the show is run like this. It's run 4 quarters, just like a real NFL football game. We even have a halftime. Quarter 1, we'll have the news from our news hound, Shadowhawk Will, from around the NFL. Quarter 2, we're going to review the Cards game for what seems like 3 weeks ago, but in reality was less than a week ago. Halftime, we will take time behind enemy lines. We're going to do something a little special this week in light of yesterday's demolishing of the 49ers in San Francisco. And since we have a crack reporter in that area right now, we're going to ask Statsman Mark to talk a little bit about what the last 24 hours have been hanging near Niner Nation. And I've also found some very interesting forum posts from a certain forum that is 49er based that I think you'll find quite entertaining. When we come back to third quarter, we will review the 49er game, our predictions, our picks, our prognostications from last week for this game. And we have a lot to talk about with the 49er game, obviously. And finally, quarter four, we, the 12th-man Fan Jam Posse, and I will talk about what we are truly thankful for since we just had Thanksgiving. Before we start, we'd like to remind you to like, share, subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Contact us on this very thread, or in a comment section of the video, or for feedback, or email us at 12thmanfanjam@gmail.com. Tell us what you think, good or bad. We don't mind. We ain't too proud to bag. Stop, say hi. Hey, I listen to your show. Hey, I don't. It's a piece of crap. Whatever you want to say. So while you're figuring out what to say to us, let's go ahead and kick off the first quarter with news. Yes, news for this Thanksgiving week of 2014 with our own news hound, Shadowhawk Will, because you were too busy on Black Friday beating up people for a TV. Will, what do you got for us this evening?
Well, strictly speaking, I was beating up people for a PlayStation 4, but, same difference.
I understand.
Well, Moses, have you ever noticed that controversies can sometimes swirl out of the most innocent of things?
Sometimes they can, yes.
Well, something like that along those lines happened to Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers after his victory over the Minnesota Vikings. He appeared at the post-game press conference drinking a bottle of Grape Crush soda. People immediately thought, is this a slam on Minnesota? Because, of course, they're purple, and they just got crushed.
Wow.
Rodgers was not happy about this and tweeted out the following message. 7 years. To all the idiot trolls out there, 7 years. PBJ and grape or orange crush. Rodgers elaborated that he eats a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and eats the same soda after every single game. That's probably the only soda I ever drink, Rodgers says, right after the game when you've got to get those nutrients back with you. So that's my post-game snack. So,
that's real healthy. I
do like it, contrary to anyone who thinks I was trolling anything. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's comical. And, yeah, it kind of is.
It kind of is. It would have been funny if someone beat Green Bay and they had, like, Milwaukee Best beer that they were drinking. Or something.
That'd be pretty good.
That'd be all right. PBJs and a grape soda after every game. That's, woo.
That's how you get your
It makes me feel a little nauseous.
Yeah. That can't be good. Mark, how would you celebrate beating the 49ers? Should you have a big old cup of rice-a-roni and eat it in front of them, or what?
Well, I don't know. I prefer Mexican food myself.
I think I'd go out on their logo and eat some turkey.
Oh, hey! That wasn't our idea, buddy.
But it should have been.
It's okay that it wasn't, but it was delightful, wasn't it?
It was.
Rodgers PBJs and a grape soda. Wow. That guy doesn't look like he eats a lot of... he should look
Apparently
like me.
Apparently that's the secret to good quarterback play.
Yeah, he should look like me if he eats a lot of that.
Well, he works out with Hans and Franz, though, too, so...
That's true.
Yeah, he's in there.
That's true. Yeah, they want to pump you up.
Mm-hmm.
Pump us up with another story, Will.
Well, actually, I'm going to stick with the Vikings game and an incident that happened to Vikings tackle Matt Khalil, who really has not been having a good game and had a heckler let him know it after the Vikings loss. Khalil had 3 penalties that cost his team 35 yards and blew off any reporters wanting to speak with him. How come he gets away with it and Marshawn Lynch doesn't? I don't know. But anyway, on his way to the bus, a Vikings fan heckled him for the game, basically saying, "Where do you want to be traded?"
Wow.
Khalil got upset and knocked the guy's hat off. Of course, somebody got video of the incident, so of course he had to do the requisite apology. But the funny thing is, Panther center and Khalil's older brother, Ryan Khalil, said that, quote, I was a little disappointed. I would have liked him to go with you spilled something on your shirt move, then flick him on the chin. It's probably my fault for picking on him when he was little. That hat thing was a go-to move. So he was just behaving the way he was taught.
That's
Well,
awesome.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm a kind of a Pacer fan over here in Indiana. Of course, the big brawl they had with Detroit a few years ago, and I'll never forget this guy coming down in the middle of that brawl. This fan, thinking he's all tough, stands behind Jermaine O'Neal, who's 7'2", 300 plus pounds, athletic, muscular, big guy, and maybe at the time he was lucky to be 22, 23 years old. And the look on this guy's face right before O'Neal clocks him with one punch, but the look on the guy's face that, what have I done?
Yeah.
I have angered this athlete.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And sometimes I think that we need that a little bit as fans. If we think we're being loud and obnoxious, and if we're being really overly zealous, really, if you met those guys in an alley, you probably don't want to really say what you're saying.
Especially a guy like Bruce Irvin. I wouldn't want to run into him. He's kind of mean looking.
Yeah.
Well, and an offensive lineman, you got to figure the guy's huge. I mean, the kicker or something. That's probably safer.
I'll pick on the kicker. You suck, kicker. I'd be lucky. I get that guy that bench pressed like 50 times at the combine or something. That one kicker.
Yeah,
that would be my luck. So, somebody's gonna say
wasn't. Yeah, I was trying to remember who it was. I think it was. Wasn't it Brandon Marshall that just wanted to? Not Brandon Marshall. Yeah, I think it was Brandon Marshall.
Yeah, it was Brandon Marshall who wanted to fight the fan.
Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting too. I mean, that's one way to make sure that, like Dennis is saying, you don't run your mouth. It's not necessarily anonymous, even though people try and get the internet to be and think they have the right to say whatever they want. At least that fan with the Vikings player said it to his face, apparently.
Yeah, hiding behind a seat or hiding behind an internet board is sometimes very brave of some people. But, well, it's too bad he didn't get cold cocked harder, I guess. What's your last story, Will?
Well, Moses, I don't know if you heard the kerfuffle a little bit ago, a couple weeks ago, saying that CenturyLink Field was selling watered-down beer.
Wait, did you say there was kerfuffling going on?
I was just thinking the same thing.
There was a kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle, okay.
It's a word, look it up.
I was not aware of any kerfuffling.
No.
Well, there was a story going on that CenturyLink Field was selling watered-down beer, but Tampa Bay decided, much like the Chiefs last year, Tampa Bay decided they would try to do us one better, and actually was supposedly selling shots of tequila that were actually colored water.
What?
Excellent.
Aramark, the concessions vendor at Raymond James Stadium, contends that the liquid that was sold had actually accidentally been poured from a bottle that was intended to be decorative. So yeah, the guy bought what he thought was a shot of tequila, got a colored water. Fortunately, they did right by the fan, a gentleman named Troy Sykes. He got a refund. However, he was a little upset because, quote, to see the Bucks play, you have to have a lot of alcohol in your system.
Nicely played. Hey, kids, tequila shots for everybody. Woo! Kids dig it.
How in the hell would you not
but they
know
get the colored water.
How would you not know that wasn't tequila? Tequila has a very distinct flavor.
Oh, my God, that's not kidding.
Well, he knew it once he took it, but he didn't realize it when they poured it out, so...
Oh, gotcha, okay. Like, man, he must have been really, really drunk if he didn't even notice.
Hey, if they had put a worm in his shot glass, he would have never known.
Yeah, there it is, the worm. Oh, my God. Tequila shots for my kids. More tequila shots. Yeah, that whole watering down the beer at CenturyLink, and it was like 0.5 off what it was supposed to be, and I'm just, I'm like,
oh my God, who the hell cares?
I mean, really, if you're going to a game to drink beer at the game, first off, it's like $10 a beer. You got to be rich to be drunk anyway. Second off, you save it for the tailgating. That's the way I look at it. But I just
Well, you had that story, you have this story, you had the one that came out of Kansas City right before I went there about the
right,
moldy food at those concessions. That's why just
right.
don't even bother eating or drinking at the stadium. That's what
I
pre and
never do.
post game is for.
I never do. I never do. That's exactly what post game. That's what and that's what tailgating's for. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
We will never give you on this show tequila that is not real. That is my promise to all of you. So, and that being said, I think we will close the first quarter. Thank you again, Will, for the wonderful news stories. Keep us enlightened with what's going on in the NFL.
Well, that's why you pay me the big bucks, Moses.
Yep, you get a raise this week. We're gonna double your salary of $0. We'll take a quick break and we will come right back and let's talk about that Cardinals game from what seemed like a month and a half ago, but was really just a week ago. We'll take a quick station identification. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. And now it's time for the second quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to take you through the second quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice, and welcome back to the second quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. I am your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity, and along with me, my 12th Man Fan Jam posse, as always, Dustin. And we have Will, and we have Statsman Mark here. Of course, like I said, Matt is on holiday somewhere over in Europe somewhere getting pissed, which is their way of saying getting drunk. So don't think he's angry. We're going to talk about the Cardinals game here in the second quarter. It's kind of an unusual show this week because we're kind of talking about two games. We don't have a game to talk about yet. We'll talk about that next Friday or next weekend. So the Cardinal game. Mark, as this game kicked off, it was 6. We were 6-4. The Seahawks had their backs against the wall. They had not looked quite like the Super Bowl champions yet. The 9-1 Cardinals were coming in. When did you feel pretty good about this game as it unfolded?
Well, first off, I'll say that I'm just recalling now in my State of the Seahawks address. I put it. I thought it is what it is heading into that game, and it was a must-win game. I thought, and I remember explaining. We all hate that phrase, and yet I felt that to be true. And obviously, for any team, especially the Seahawks, though, early momentum is just key. And while the field goals offensively are a bit frustrating, our defense they were going to be able to hold any lead that day. I mean, Arizona just could not get anything going. And it really just proved to be a game that saw us, kind of get back to the defense we had a year ago. I mean, we've seen flashes of that lately. And it turns out that defensive performance against Arizona really kind of jump-started us to the following week against SF, which we'll talk about here in a bit.
It sure did. Dustin, first time since week 1 that 10 of the 11 defensive starters were together, and it certainly felt like a week 1 game, didn't it?
It did. It was sure nice to see Bobby Wagner playing again. That dude made a big difference. Without me being in there, people worried about the middle, and then having Bobby back was a huge, huge difference. And Cam's looking a lot more healthy. I mean, I could tell the Seahawks were going to win. It just felt like they were from the opening kickoff. Everybody was so fired up. There's just no way they're going to lose that game. Ricardo Lockett went down there and smashed their returner on the 5-yard line or something like that, 7-yard line. And he wasn't alone. There was a couple Seahawks right there with him. And then that opening series, Cliff Averill comes flying around the corner, just about gets Drew Stanton. He's able to spin out of it, and then he goes up for the ball, and Earl Thomas is right there just batting it out of bounds. I mean, they were just fired up and on it, man. That was a lot of fun to watch.
It was a lot of fun to watch, Will. Also, really though, I mean, Cam's healed, he's feeling better, but the biggest the biggest addition to that equation in that game seemed to be Bobby Wagner, didn't it?
Yeah.
And well,
Sorry, had to channel my inner Marshawn Lynch there. Sorry.
Yeah.
oh, I was going to roll with it, but go ahead.
Oh, getting Wagner back was huge. And I think one thing, you're talking about things that we've learned. I think one thing we have definitely learned this year is just how valuable Bobby Wagner is to this defense.
Yes.
And, but yeah, just getting him back there and, made a difference in the running game and just getting out into the flat, making the tackles. Getting Bobby back was huge. And cross your fingers he stays healthy the rest of the year. We're going to need him.
Absolutely. If there was one concerning thing from this game, I would say that it was our red zone efficiency, which was 1 out of 5. And Mark, that seems to be a concern. It seems like we're having a harder time. Now, let's give the Cardinals some credit because they have an outstanding defense. But it seems as we get down playing against the Cardinals in the Cardinals game, it seemed like every time we could drive down to the 20, and then we just kind of stall out, didn't it?
Yeah, for me, yes, you got to give Arizona credit. There was a reason for sure that they were 9-1 going into that game. To me, though, it's not being unrealistic to say that when you make 5 red zone trips, you should be able to come out of there more often than not with 2 touchdowns. I don't think that's asking a lot. But Arizona, the Cardinals are a good defense, and so it is what it is. But just that one extra TD, get 2 TDs in addition to 3 field goals. It makes a huge difference for our defense and would give us a little more breathing room.
It does. Dustin, a different game with Carson Palmer at quarterback, do you think?
Not especially because the defense was going to do their thing, and Carson Palmer out there would have had no effect on our red zone offense. So, and I know everybody's saying that it's, Cardinals defense is good and credit's due and all that. I say that's part of it, but it's not like Seahawks have been efficient in the red zone all year.
True.
So I think a lot of it is them not being very good at that aspect of the game this year, and the Cardinals defense doing what they've been good at this year because they've been pretty solid. Yep. So it's a little give and take on that one. But yeah, Palmer, it wouldn't have mattered. If anything, he would have been a more stationary target for our guys to go light up.
Well, do you think that the absence of Palmer and Stanton, let's be honest, he was not exactly lighting up before they came in. Do you think that this is a sign that the Cardinals, I mean, they're 9-2 now. They were 9-1. They lost to us. Is this a sign? Do you think that they're going to be able to hang on to the West, or do you think they're going to lose, kind of start to not lose out, but maybe start to flail a little bit without Palmer at quarterback? Do you think it makes a big difference to them?
I think it does, even though I was never particularly sold on Carson Palmer at this stage in his career anyway. But honestly, I see teams doing what Seattle did this week, is if they're capable of it anyway. You stack the box against their running game, which isn't very good to begin with, and make Drew Stanton try to beat them. And I don't think he's going to be capable of beating very many teams.
I couldn't agree more. I think, the problem with Stanton is that they don't have a running game to help out a backup quarterback. Their running game was terrible to start with. So now you totally negate that running game, which is not that hard to do with 7 even or 8, and you make that guy beat you. And I think it's a big problem for them. Their defense is going to keep them in games, but I think they're in big trouble at 9-2. I think they're a little nervous after what they've seen the last couple of games out of Seattle. But that's just my opinion as well. Mark, final thoughts on the Arizona game? Something we haven't talked about that you might want to bring up, or?
Well, they it's I agree with what you guys are saying. It's just they have 5 games left. They do have a pretty difficult schedule, so there is definitely a good shot for us to sneak in and maybe take the division again should they falter. I also keep in mind though, out of 5 games, if they just win 2 out of their final 5, they still have a solid shot at winning the division as well.
Yeah,
so
very true.
It starts this week in Atlanta. I was surprised the Cardinals actually have the 25th ranked pass defense, which really surprised me. And then the Falcons have the 7th ranked passing offense. So, but it's hard to ask a 4-7 team from the NFC South for any kind of help.
That's true, but this is a team that just got Julio Jones back, and they looked pretty good last week with Julio offensively anyway. Dustin, we still got a chance to catch these guys?
Oh, absolutely. We get to play them again. And they got to play San Francisco, I believe. And I know there's only a few games left, but I just feel like that team is they've peaked. And I think it's going to be downhill from here for them. So I think we can absolutely get there. It seems like the Seahawks are coming together at the right time to make a good playoff push. So if I was the Cardinals, I'd be pretty weary about that.
Absolutely. Well, let's close the door on the Cardinals game because I know that we want to get to the big game, which was the Thanksgiving game against the 49ers. But before we do, we like to go over our predictions, our prognostications in game balls from the week before. The prediction scores are up on the screen for you. I said 23-17. Matt said 27-21. Will 2017. Dustin 13-10. And Mark said 24-16. So I think Mark's the closest there. He had the widest margin of victory, and it was 19-3 and 24-16. Not too bad. None of us got our prognostications as you see them up on the screen. I said Cam would cause a turnover. He didn't. Beast a 67-yard run. That didn't happen. Will said that Sherman would get a pick six. He didn't. Dustin said a touchdown over Peterson. There was a big play over Peterson, but not quite a touchdown. And Mark said Bobby Wagner INT. So none of that happened. And then on our game balls that you see up on the screen, the guys got real cute and wanted to do some offensive linemen. Matt put Jean-Pierre just so I can say Jean-Pierre on the screen. I said Cam Chancellor. Will went with Lynch. Dustin went with J.R. Sweezy, which, he had a good game, but I'm not sure he got the ball. But Mark went with Bobby Wagner, and I think we could all agree from the Cardinal game, as different as that defense looked, Bobby Wagner made a huge difference in that first game with the Cardinals. I think we all left that game Sunday thinking, wow, what a difference our middle linebacker made in that game. And Wagner was just an absolute beast against the Cardinals. So I think it's fair to give the game ball to Bobby Wagner in that case. So congratulations, Mark. You got the game ball right. And the kids dig you for that. So, kids, he got the game ball right. Congratulations, Mark.
Well, if no one else is going to take the no-brainer pick of the game, I will. So
somebody's got to, and you took it, and you ran with it. So we are going to take a quick break here.
Holy shit, it's halftime.
This is the end of the second quarter. It is almost time for halftime, and halftime we are going to go behind enemy lines, and we're going to have fun watching the 49ers bash themselves, so to speak. We'll take a quick station identification, and we'll be right back after this.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam. 49er fans need not apply.
What?
Yes, welcome back to halftime of the 12th Man Fan Jam, a show made of Seahawk fans from around the world for Seahawk fans. I am your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church Seahawk Positivity, and alongside the 12th Man Fan Jam posse this evening, which consists of Dustin, it consists of Statsman Mark, and it consists of our news hound, Shadowhawk Will. And we're going to do something a little different halftime this week because we don't have a game coming up. We don't have trivia. Instead, we're going to talk about this 49er game. We're going to get the ball rolling on this 49er game that happened on Thanksgiving. And I thought, what better way to get a pulse for what's going on in 49er world than to delve behind enemy lines.
Behind enemy lines.
Yes, that's right. We jumped behind enemy lines for you, the listener, so that you don't have to get your hands dirty and find out what the 49ers think of their own team. So, let me share with you some posts I read. These are game day posts, which means they're on a message board. I don't want to say which one. 49er website. But it is a 49er for him. And during the game, the following real posts were presented. Now, these have not been doctored by me in any way. These are actual 49er fans and their reactions to the game that happened Thanksgiving evening. One said, Kaepernick throwing to his favorite target. Too bad he's on the other team. Somebody said the only way Harbaugh can save face is to punch Carroll in the mouth after the game.
Brilliant.
Charming.
They are charmers. Does Kaepernick know Sherman isn't on our team? He can throw it pinpoint accurate to him, but not to Bolden or Crabtree.
He was very accurate.
He was very accurate to Sherman, yes.
Yeah.
Another guy said it would be one thing if they were real good plays like in the conference championship, but Kaepernick is literally throwing it to Sherman. Wake up, Cap. None of our wide receivers have dreads. That's an important thing to know.
I feel like that's a fair point.
I would think if you were a quarterback, you'd want to know if your receivers had dreads or not. And also, the jersey is also a giveaway. Off-season priority is to trade for Sherman and put him in at receiver. It seems like he and Cap have developed a good chemistry. That's pretty good.
Ben's got a point there.
I like that one.
He does. That's some. Kaepernick sucks with a capital S at the highest level of suck. I love that one. That's creative. Because you have sucks, then you have a capital S, and then you have, I guess there are levels of suckage. And if there were levels... No, go ahead.
I was just saying I was not aware that there were different levels. I mean,
apparently there are. And
on your vacuum, I know you have like floor versus carpet, but that's different levels of suckage.
Apparently there are levels of suckage, and whatever's the highest level, that's where this person thinks Kaepernick is.
Move over H.L. Mencken. There's a new kid in town.
Sherman's made good money off Kaepernick. He should send him a Christmas card. I like that one. That's very nice. He should send him a Christmas card. We are officially Seattle's bitches. I love that line.
That's a good line.
I like that one. That would be like on my Christmas card. We are officially Seattle's bitches. Okay. We should have waited before we overpaid for Kaepernick. This was interesting. This was a guy that claimed he played with Kaepernick in college. I played with Kaepernick in college, and trust me, I was happy my teammate got drafted. But as a Niner fan, I knew it was the wrong choice. We went into every game with just 7 plays, but ran it from different formations. He never really had to read any defensive coverage.
Wow.
And he's known for one read. Yeah, I thought that was interesting because he's known as one read Cap, so maybe that explains it. Defense did all it could. Cap gets no respect from me until he beats Seattle. It's a joke. I swear to God, if I see this dude favorite his haters' tweets after this game, I'm going to chuck my phone at his effing throat. This dude has consistently shrunk in the moment. It's a joke, an absolute joke.
Maybe it's cold outside.
Yeah, it's getting a little bitter.
Little shrinkage.
Yeah, a little bit. Seattle came to. I love this one. This should be like in headlines. Seattle came to our house, ate our turkey, slept with our sister, and took a dump in the middle of the living room floor.
Sums it up.
Pretty accurate, yeah.
That's pretty good. I like that one. The only good thing is that we meet them in 2 weeks, but sadly we won't have an answer for them there either with this offense.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's a sound point.
This one I love. This is a thinker, guys. You got to think about this one. I'll give Seattle's defense some credit. They held the offense to about 10 points under their potential of 13 points.
Nice.
That's beautiful. I got to be honest. When I picked my score for the 49er game, I thought they can't score more than 13. I really thought that. Okay.
That's hilarious.
And then this one was like with a minute to go in the game. And, we're playing prevent and they're throwing balls over the middle. And with like a minute and a half to go, this person put, congrats on Kaepernick on getting 100 yards passing.
Every little bit helps, just not very much.
I thought that was great. This was kind of mean. No fan wants to see their quarterback injured, but come on, Seattle, blow out Cap's knee or something.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. I wonder if the offensive scheme for the Niners specifically called to throw a flare to Bruce Miller in double coverage or 2 times to Sherman. To be fair, The crowd at Levi's was pretty lame. I was there tonight. Candlestick blows this new stadium out of the water in terms of atmosphere. And finally, once again, the 49ers get embarrassed in a primetime game against a good team. That was pathetic, and that's an understatement. I think we can all agree with that one.
I think so.
And now let's turn it over to Statsman Mark, who happens to live in the heart of Niner Nation right now. So please, Statsman Mark, tell us what your last 24 hours have been like in the heart of enemy territory.
All right. Well, give me a minute or so here, guys. First off, the forecast coming up for the Bay Area, California is rain, but the sidewalks and streets are already stained with 49er tears. So,
that's delicious. Sorry. That's delicious.
And it proved to be a record-setting Black Friday shopping evening out here because half the stadium was empty in time to shop for Black Friday before the game ended.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah,
Gotta get the bargains.
Yeah, the aforementioned torches and pitchforks were sold out, and boy, it's just been, this morning was beautiful for the lone Seahawks fan in the area. Local radio, newspaper, it is straight up doom and gloom. They're talking about this game being, for all intents and purposes, the game that may not only have knocked the 49ers out of playoff contention, but also ended the Harbaugh era as well. So,
that's wonderful.
I've just been kind of relishing in it. It's a trip, it's just so nice to just. It's just so nice to live here. To live here and just have this victory, let alone 2 victories in 5 days, it's just so sweet. So I'm loving it.
I think that Harbaugh thing is bittersweet though, because you like to have the rivalries, and he's a big part of why I personally don't like that team. I can't stand the guy. Mm-hmm. So when he's gone, if it ends up being a coach that I actually like or admire, it makes it a little bit more difficult. I like the fact that he's there. He's like the villain down there, the head villain, and the villains always lose, which is nice too. He's Dr. Doom down there, and we got the Fantastic Four in our secondary that Kaepernick just can't deal with.
I was kind of like that with Mike Martz and the Rams and that whole team, and really hated the Rams and hated Mike Martz and hated everything that they stood for. And now, the Rams, to be honest, I'm having a hard time hating a lot of those guys and hating Fisher and hating. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I understand what you're saying because that kind of happened with me and the Rams. But we'll see. Time will tell.
Well, not to mention the fact that at this point, between Harbaugh himself and his staff, it works to our advantage if they would re-sign him.
No doubt.
Yes, it would. Well, thanks for that report. I do have a couple tweets here, and then I do have an article from csnbayarea.com by Ray Ratto. I want to summarize. So we'll finish with that. The tweets I found that I thought were the best tweets about the game. One said that post-game awkward white guy high five between Harbaugh and Pete Carroll brought a tear to my eye. I missed that, but
I didn't see that either.
Oh, blink and you'll miss it. It was quick.
Yeah. Someone else said, if the 49ers are looking for classes next semester, they should take one in time management. I agree with that. Because they had some rough, that said, the end of the first half was rough. But maybe the best one. Best anger I've seen from a San Francisco fan all day, directed at Russell Wilson. Don't sound so classy all the time. That's his complaint. Yeah. Russell, don't sound so classy all the time.
We were just talking about how nice it's been having Harbaugh in San Francisco because it's so easy to hate the guy. It's got to be rough if you're a San Francisco fan because how can you hate Russell Wilson?
Oh, my God.
But then I guess that's what Richard Sherman's for.
Exactly. Exactly. I did find an article among the many doom and gloom articles. I thought my favorite was this guy named Ray Ratto who writes for csnbayarea.com, and I just kind of highlight some of the highlights for you, and we'll end with this at the halftime, and then we'll talk about the game itself. He wrote, "The truth is a vicious bastard when it's one you don't want. So it is that the San Francisco 49ers are stuck with this irrefutable bastard. It's that they were exposed utterly and completely for having the lesser quarterback, the lesser running back, the lesser secondary, the lesser game plan, the lesser fan base, the lesser stadium ambiance, the lesser everything.
Wow.
I don't think he missed anything.
Cheerleaders.
Yeah.
They were defenestrated on national television and exposed as the incomplete work they clearly are. And it didn't start with Richard Sherman. Don't start with Richard Sherman. He owns the 49ers as a cornerback. Owns them. And don't bother objecting or calling him a loudmouth or any other clever terms you use for him. He takes San Francisco's per diem and laughs about it and then calls the fans mediocre and complains about their language and choice of projectiles and waves goodbye as they leave the stadium. And everyone will listen to him because he's on the winning side. It's the tyranny of success, and the 49er fans know how it works on both sides. And then he finishes by summing up the evening. The Seahawks had come off a hugely physical games against Kansas City and Arizona, while the 49ers had relative tea parties in which they were too polite to score any points in New York and home against Washington. All the advantages were San Francisco's. Now, we have to win them all, says the embattled coach, and this performance wasn't acceptable, and I apologize for that, says the hot plate of an owner. You could drive Paraguay through the gulf between the two positions right now. That's pretty scary. Yeah.
I like that they were too polite to score points. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I like that too. They have to stop being a team that can't score, that has weapons that don't fire, has a defense that's consistently asked to do too much, a coach who doesn't look quite so embattled, and an owner who emotes when he should have left someone else hold his phone. So, they're pretty angry. And I'm loving it! I'm loving it! So, what better thing to do at the end of halftime but to go into third quarter and talk about this wonderful game against the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to come back. Mark, thanks for that behind-the-line report. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm just basking in all of it.
You should continue to bask. This is going to be a good week and a half for you, my friend, down in the San Francisco area. And for all our California friends, congratulations. Soak it up. Enjoy it. Wear that Seahawk stuff and take a bulletproof vest wherever you go. We're going to take a quick break and come back with the San Francisco game and how we all did on our picks, prognostications, and game balls right after the station identification.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Are you serious? No! Why? It was so Kaepernick's fault. He didn't have to throw it. No way.
It's the third quarter, bitches.
Yes, welcome back to the third quarter of a very special, thankful, post-Thanksgiving edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. I am your host, the Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, along with my 12th Man Fan Jam posse this week, which consists of Dustin, Shadowhawk Will, and Statsman Mark. We are talking about the third quarter. It's time to talk about that game that happened on Thanksgiving evening after everyone had digested their turkey and their meal, and it was time to watch some football. No time to sleep. That tryptophan couldn't kick in yet because Seattle fans, we had a football game, and what a game. A rematch of the NFC Championship game from last year. Both teams 7-4. Both teams hanging on desperately to playoff hopes. Two teams that don't like each other. Two teams that are mirror images of each other. Will, set the table for us, so to speak. How did you go into the start of this game? What were your emotions like as this game started?
Well, kind of groggy because I had actually taken a nap for most of the Eagles-Cowboys game. But, yeah, going into this game, I mean, I was feeling pretty confident after the Cardinals game. But then just watching San Francisco, their first couple drives on offense, and I remembered, the NFC Championship game, they started out and they were doing pretty well. I mean, they were driving and Kaepernick got that huge run and everything. And I'm just sitting there watching the first couple drives. I'm just like, they've got nothing. They can't run it. They can't pass it. And then on the Kaepernick threw that interception to Sherman of all people. And it's like, oh yeah, this is going to be good.
That's kind of where I was. Dustin, as this game unfolded, I turned to my son and I said, this is kind of what we expected. Two teams just kind of butting heads. But when did you feel it start to break open a little bit?
Honestly, it was similar to the Cardinals game for me. just from the get-go as far as the first play happens, and the Seahawks are fired up. They're already down there nailing the dude at like about the 10-yard line, and they had him backed up. Then Crabtree goes out there and gets blasted by Cam Chancellor and starts crying. And so it felt like, you know what, Seahawks are going to out-dominate them. They're going to out-hustle them. It's only a matter of time before we take over and we start winning. And this game was one I looked so forward to this game that back in the Green Bay game, when I was tailgating with some of my buddies, we decided that instead of going and hanging out with our families for Thanksgiving, we were all going to have Thanksgiving together and watch the football game. So I had people I tailgate with over at my house, and we watched the game that way. The kids were out of town. It was pretty awesome just watching football, man, throwing down touchdown shots when they scored points. I mean, it was awesome.
That's a great way to spend the evening. Mark, what were your thoughts as the game unfolded, and where were you at, and what was going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, first off, a couple things. One, I didn't mention this earlier, but believe it or not, my neighbor is a season ticket holder for the 49ers, and on Tuesday, he offered me the chance to go to this game.
Oh my! Oh my!
Oh dear!
And I just, as much as I would have liked to, I just couldn't do it.
Your flak jacket was probably in the dry cleaners, and you can't go if you don't have some kind of bulletproof vest.
Yeah, there wasn't enough time to contact a friend of mine who's also my insurance agent to have another policy, life insurance policy for the game. And the funny thing is that I knew ahead of time I'd already be heading to a household, a la my brother's in San Francisco, which is not a football household. So I relied on both Dennis and a few other people to give me in-game text as updates, and I, in fact, did not get to watch this game until the fourth quarter. By the time
That's true.
I did not watch football on Thanksgiving. It's un-American.
Well, so is my brother. So no. So no, God bless him. It's just none of these people are sports fans. So anyway, what I did like is the early updates were encouraging, to say the least, especially even though we only ended up with one touchdown. The fact that we opened this game up with a touchdown just meant everything, I think, to the Seahawks and the collective team psyche and being fired up the rest of the evening. I think it just went a long way to firing everybody up on both sides of the ball. And then when it was 13-0 and 16-0, it's like, we got this. The one thing that did confuse me, though, even though the game was in hand, and I texted Moses about it, is that I'm still a little surprised we didn't just go ahead and kick the field goal on fourth down instead of going for it and running out the clock that way. But it was a wonderful game, and it was an awesome holiday.
Yeah, 14 penalties is what I'm sure Matt said he would, if he was here, he would be harping on the 14 penalties that the Seahawks had, and I agree with him. I mean, we actually, are you ready for this stat? We actually had 105 yards in penalties. They only passed for 100 yards the whole game. We had more penalty yardage than he had passing yardage in the game, and that's pretty insane. But yeah, I mean, my son, little Mo, got to stay up and watch the game with me. As the game unfolded, I said, this is exactly what we expected, a battle back and forth. But I just never was scared of their offense, which is too bad because, Will, all we heard last year from the 49ers was, well, he didn't have all his weapons all year, meaning Kaepernick. He's had them all this year, and they look worse than they did last year on offense.
Well, I just remember that interview that Kaepernick gave right before the Super Bowl where he said that Richard Sherman was, quote, afraid of our receivers. That's something I'm looking forward to exploiting next year. Yeah, how'd that work out?
Yeah.
But, yeah, our offense, you contrast Kaepernick with Russell Wilson. I mean, he's making like that Houdini play that went to Moeaki that should have been a touchdown.
Yes.
And a couple others where he's just, making something out of nothing, and Kaepernick was making nothing out of nothing.
Mark, are they worried down there about the maturity of Kaepernick?
There's all kinds of theories, and they've made pretty good cases. Some just simply say, this is what he is, what we're seeing now. And others are very curious to see if he actually had some decent quarterback coaching or a different coach or that he's still salvageable. But this was such a big loss. I mean, this loss especially because you have Sherman eating Thanksgiving turkey on their logo at the end of the game.
That was perfect.
I mean, that I can't help but think between that and maybe some consolation, shots for Jed York, watered down or not, that might have, kind of fueled his post game tweet. But with Kaepernick, my own personal feeling is that he can be salvaged. I don't think he has good coaching around him. I think since they took away his option to run, that it's affected his thinking overall. I think when he was allowed to run, when he felt like he had a lane, it carried over into his passing game and calmed his nerves. I think now he feels confined in the pocket and he overthinks everything. And the game against Seattle, I mean, even for him, those were very poor decisions and throws. So
Yeah,
I think. I was just going to say,
like
I think.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think he is salvageable personally, but he needs better coaching. I do think he cares. He's a little off-putting with his style, but I think he still could be a good QB. But under the current system, something's got to change there for him to have a shot at a good career.
Yeah, it just seems to me, Dustin, that he's looking. I mean, I don't know much. I've never played quarterback in the NFL, but it seems like when you watch our guy, he's looking at his left to move that safety, and then he turns to his right at the last second and throws it. Seems like Kaepernick's locking onto his receivers automatically, and that could be a big problem in the NFL, couldn't it?
It depends on which side you're on. I mean, for our defense, it worked out pretty well.
True.
For their offense, though, yeah, he's a dude that just doesn't seem to be able to grasp the concepts of the defenses, which I think is so strange because I think that Romans is a pretty good offensive coordinator for the most part. And Harbaugh's a proven winner wherever he goes. So something is just not clicking for that dude. And they have the facilities. You go in there and you look at film all day long and you can break things down. And for whatever reason, when it comes to doing it live, it's just not clicking, which is awesome. But it's still, they got to change something up down there, man. They got to change something.
I agree. Mark, what was the biggest surprise of this game overall?
I think, honestly, for me, the margin of victory, I did not see this being, a butt woman. A butt whooping.
Interesting.
Butt women.
Huh.
See, I was thinking of Sanchez, and I was thinking of butt fumble, and then I confused it with everything else. And no, I know I predicted a margin of victory by 8. But honestly, I really thought this game was going to be much closer. I thought it'd be a battle of field goals. I did think it was going to almost be, the first one to score a touchdown period in this game would win, and that turned out to be true. But it was just such a relief that we got early momentum, and our defense just was lights out. It just looked awesome.
Yeah. Will, what was your biggest surprise coming out of that game?
Well, it's funny because Matt's player of the game for the Cardinals game, and I know it was tongue-in-cheek, was Emile Jean-Pierre, or however you pronounce it.
May we?
But, yes. But I think he made a big difference in the 49ers game. I mean, the offensive line, San Francisco still got a few sacks on Wilson, but the line looked a lot better, I thought. I thought part of that was having a more experienced center making the line calls in there. So it was great to get him back, and it's something else that bodes well for the future.
Excellent. You stole my thunder, but I'm glad you did. I watched that game. Good. I watched that game for the second time today, and I couldn't get over the fact, as great as the 49ers defense is, and yes, they got 4 sacks on Wilson, and they made him run around. But if you watch the running plays, and if you watch even some of the passing plays, I think our offensive line is getting a lot better. They were playing an incredibly tough 2 defenses this last couple games, and I think the Eagles aren't as tough on defenses. Now, they do rush a quarterback, but as far as actual tough defenses, I think they're going to get a little bit of break. I thought the offensive line is looking much, much, much improved. Dustin, what's a surprise that you saw from the game?
It kind of came to me after the game when I found out Marshawn Lynch ran for over 100 yards. He did that kind of quietly. I didn't really feel like that he had ran that much, but apparently he did. It's probably kind of a testament to what you're saying about the offensive line too, because I don't remember him doing a whole lot. There's not like that one signature big run that I recall necessarily that he has where he did blast their safety, which was awesome. But I mean, I thought he was more of a 60, 70 yard kind of game for him. But 104 yards, I was pretty impressed by that after the fact.
If I'm not mistaken, they've had 800-yard rushers in the Harbaugh era. 4 of them have been Marshawn or something like that.
Yeah, you know what that is, Dennis? I think since 2011, I think they've given up 10 100-yard rushing games, and 5 of them belong to Lynch.
That's what it is, yeah. I knew it
And
was
he nearly
something.
had a 6 because he got 98 yards first time we played them in 2013. So
Yeah, I was surprised at the lack of production by their receivers overall. Johnson, Bolden, and Crabtree combined for 9 catches and basically 56 yards. 9 catches, 56 yards between all 3 of them, which is a surprise. I was surprised Frank Gore, 10 attempts, 28 yards. The guy usually kills us. And I think
that was a nice surprise.
That was a nice surprise. Again, it's the second week where seeing Bobby Wagner in the center, I guess that answers all the questions on this defense. And they seem to they had that little meeting before the Cardinals game, supposedly. Well, whatever was said seems to be working. What's working now is let's take a look at what we predicted for the 49ers game. Your prediction scores are up on the screen. I said 20-13. Mark said 20-17. Dustin said 24-21. Will said 24-26. Matt said 24-13. Matt's the closest. Congratulations, Matt. I know you're listening.
not here?
But who's not here? I know he's listening. So Matt got the closest score. We did real well on our prognostications for this game. I said that Kaepernick would throw 3 interceptions, and daggone it, Sherman, you let the one fall through your hands, or you would have had it. We had 2. Mark said that Wilson would throw for 250. He threw for 236. That's really good.
Not bad.
Yeah, Dustin. All right, everybody back up. Okay. Is your Hot Pocket done?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Lindsay. I didn't know my wife was in there, yeah.
Okay, cool.
The microwave was pretty loud, sorry.
No, that's all right. Hey, that's all right. Tell her she has to have enough for the rest of the class. That's all I'm saying.
Heating up some turkey or something.
Dustin said Lynch 137 yards. He actually went up with 111 all-purpose yards, 107 on the ground. Will said Wilson would have 3 touchdowns. He had 1. But Matt, again, said that Kaepernick would get sacked 4 times. Guess what? Kaepernick got sacked 4 times. Congratulations, Matt. You hit that one right on the head. Game balls. I said Sherman. Mark said Wilson. Dustin said Lynch. Will said Wilson. And Matt said Irvin. They all contributed. They all had solid games, but I don't think you can not give the game ball to Sherman in this game. I don't know if anyone wants to disagree with that.
That's fair.
I think Sherman was fair. So those are our game balls and predictions and pronostications from the 49ers game. We're going to take a quick break now.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
And it's been fun talking about the 49ers demise, but we're going to come back, get a little sentimental. We're going to get very thankful in the last quarter. We're going to finish this special post-Thanksgiving edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam by revealing what we, the 12th Man Fan Jam posse, are thankful for right after this.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. And now, it's time for the 4th quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to lead us through the final quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice of the 12th Man Fan Jam, and welcome back to the 4th and final quarter of a very special post-Thanksgiving edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. We have talked about the Cardinals game, we've talked about the 49ers game. We're going to finish up this edition of the show talking about what we as a group are thankful for, because we just had Thanksgiving and we are thankful for a lot of things. So we're going to kick it off here with Mark. Mark, what are you thankful for?
Well, Moses, I'm thankful especially this week, to be a fan behind enemy lines. I'm grateful that I could have Thanksgiving dinner with my brother, who cooks just as well, if not better, than our mom. And I am especially grateful for the fact that the Seahawks are alive and well for a postseason berth. And that's my short and sweet list for what I am thankful for.
Very, very nice. Very nice. You said you're very thankful. Dustin, what are you thankful for?
Well, Dennis, I'm thankful for CenturyLink putting better Wi-Fi in the stadium. That's been a huge asset this year.
Hallelujah.
I'm thankful for the defense being back on track and Bobby Wagner being in there. Makes football a lot more fun to watch. I'm thankful for Colin Kaepernick playing for the 49ers because nobody gets open like Richard Sherman does in the 49ers games. I really like him catching the ball. And I'm also thankful that for my family being a little more real and honest. Thankful for the family and
Keeping it real.
Yeah. And just enjoying my kids and my wife.
Those are things that you are thankful for, Dustin.
Yes, sir.
That's beautiful. All right. Will, what are you thankful for?
Well, Moses, I'm thankful for so many things. Thankful that my team's owner is not on Twitter. Or, for that matter, our GM's daughter. I'm thankful that Richard Sherman is on my team, and that I can root for him and not have to root against him. Because I think that would be very frustrating. I'm thankful for Russell Wilson, who just... You cannot hate the guy, and you gotta love what he does on the field as well as off the field. And I'm thankful for all the friends I've made over the years through our mutual love of Seahawks football. Present company all included, of course.
Aw, that's beautiful. Is that what you're thankful for?
That's what I'm thankful for.
I hope no one's crying while we're listening to this. Okay, my list is a little long, but, it's my show, so I'm just going to do it. All right, here we go. Thank you to the Super Bowl 48 champion Seattle Seahawks for allowing me to put the phrase Super Bowl champion and Seattle Seahawks together for the first time ever without being laughed at. Thank you to Roger Goodell and his sudden league-wide emphasis on defensive back physicality following my team's 43-8 Super Bowl victory. It's nice to know your team is so good, the NFL has to try to change the rules just for you. Thank you, Jim Harbaugh, for insisting on Colin Kaepernick being the guy for your team. Thank you, Michael Crabtree, for starting a war of words with Richard Sherman a few summers ago. 3 catches, 10 yards. Look it up. Thank you, Arizona Cardinals coach Bruce Arians, for putting your team's future in an old quarterback with a history of knee problems. And thank you, the St. Louis Rams, for still being the St. Louis Rams. Thank you to every guest we've had on the 12th Man Fan Jam. Thank you for stopping by and adding your own unique love of the Seahawks to our show. We'd love to have every one of you back, and we hope to do that soon. Thank you to the 12th Man Fan Jam regular posse. For Dustin, who always adds great insight as a fan and a Little League football coach. For Statsman Mark, our silent assassin, for not only giving us statistical information, but always having something epically funny to add at the very best times. To our newshound Will, who took the idea of a news segment and made one of the funniest segments I've ever been a part of. Finally, to my partner in crime, my spiritual brother Matt, for helping me organize and put together this very show from scratch. And finally, thank you to anyone who took a second, a minute, or any time to listen to a bunch of uneducated Seahawk fans sit around and talk Seahawk football for a while. Thanks for all the kind feedback and the constructive criticism. Thanks for putting up with our unprofessional group of ragtag fans from around the world. And yes, thank you for listening. Oh, I feel so thankful right now. You guys feel thankful?
Yeah.
I do.
Yep. And full.
It's very, very thankful show. We're so thankful for the Cards and for the 49ers. losing to our favorite team this week. So thanks to them as well. And it looks like it's time to bring another wonderful and thankful and amazing 12-man fan jam to a sad close. We are so glad you decided to waste some time with us. It was, as usual, a show that raised the bar here at the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. We certainly hope you laughed a little, and maybe, just maybe, you learned a little something along the way. What did we learn? Well, we learned Bye Felicia isn't good if your name isn't Felicia. We learned that Aaron Rodgers likes PBJs and grape soda after every game. We also finally learned there was kerfuffling going on at Century League Field. Or kerfluffing? Kerfuffling. Kerfuffle. There was kerfuffle at Century League Field. Be careful when you go to the next home game. So, on behalf of Dustin, Sassman Mark, our news hound, Shadowhawk Will, this is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity saying, enjoy the time off and go Hawks!
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Bye, Felicia.